So I call this meeting to order at 8:12 p.m. We'll begin with the first attendance roll call. So when your name is called, please indicate your president, starting with our meeting. Senator Albright. President, Senator Beardsley. Here. Senator Cannon. Not present, Senator Cho. Here. Transit Representative Vidal. Here. Senator Golshani. Here. Senator Notaro. Senator Maynard. Not present, Senator Mendez. Here. Senator Nunez Rivera. Here. Senator Rodarte. Here. Senator Santos. Here. Senator Scott. Here. Senator Solomon. Here. Senator Stankovic. Here. Senator Reading. Here. Senator Fadan. Not present, Senator Ty. Not present, Senator Swift. Senator Reading. Thanks. Move on to recognition of money land. ASUC recognizes that UC Berkeley sits in the territory of Houston, the original landscape of the Chichenner speaking Ohlone people, the successors of the sovereign Birmingham County. This region continues to be of great importance in the Waccamaw Ohlone tribe and other familial descendants of the Barrera. We recognize that every member of the Berkeley community has and continues to benefit from the use and occupation of this land since the institution founded in 1868. Consistent with our values of community, inclusion, and diversity, we have a responsibility to acknowledge and make visible the university's relationship to Native peoples. As members of the Berkeley community, it is vitally important that we not only recognize the history of the land on which we stand, but also that we recognize the Waccamaw Ohlone people are alive and flourishing members of the Berkeley and broader Bay Area communities today. All right, moving on to our third item. Is there a motion on the floor for tonight's agenda? Yes, next time.
Motion to move item L on the consent calendar, SR 2526-101 to immediate consideration.
Motion by Senator Scott to move SR 2526-101 from consent calendar to immediate consideration. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Musi. Any objections? All right, seeing and hearing none, that should be reflected on the agenda. Is there another motion on the floor?
I motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
Senator Scott moves to adopt the agenda as amended. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Mendez. Any objections? All right, seeing and hearing none, the agenda has been adopted. Now we'll move on to general public comment. If there's any members of the public here for public comment, you can line up over here. Right, and you'll have 2 minutes to do a public comment. And a reminder that this portion of the meeting is dedicated for matters relating to the ASUC at large and not items on the consent calendar of immediate consideration. And the Senate reserves the right to turn off speakers who do a lot of their time or disrupting the orderly conduct of Senate proceedings. So you'll have 2 minutes, you can introduce yourself if you like, and then I'll time it out when you're 15 seconds. Hi everyone, I'm Caroline. I'm here from the ASUC Housing Commission, and last week I came here telling you guys that we were going to have tenants right this week. I lied to you, we're not having it this week, we're actually having it next week. We wanted to have some more time to publicize the event, so we've been on Sprout every day this week. Tabling, and I just wanted to kind of give you guys an overview of what the week is going to look like real quick. So on Friday of this week, actually, we're having an internal kind of service day. We have about 8 or 9 commissioners going to serve at Dorothy Day House for, I think, like 4 or 5 hours in the middle of the day, so that'll be really good for us. But for next week on Monday, we're going to be tabling on Sprout and conducting interviews with random Berkeley students we come across, like talking about their experience in housing, understanding their options, all that good stuff. On Tuesday, we'll be tabling for freshmen looking for housing at Rhodes. On Wednesday, we will be tabling for transfers who are looking for housing at Anchor House. And on Thursday, we're going to be having a tenants' rights panel at Worcester Gallery, which is Worcester 112. And that's our plan for the week. So if you guys could help publicize our event, that would be great. Our latest post is of what I just told you guys. And if you could repost on your Instagram accounts, that'd be super, super helpful. And I would appreciate it a lot. Thank you. Oh, any questions? No. Okay, cool. Thank you guys. Thank you. Okay. All right. Is there any other member of the public here for public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to response. At this time, senators have up to 2 minutes each to offer a response to any public comment given. Is there any response? All right. Now we'll go ahead and move on to executive officer reports. I can go first. Okay. I will go before President today. Let me find slides up here. All right. I'm gonna try to keep it short today. I know it's a long week. So I have one or two calendar today. supporting sustainability efforts in the student union. Excellent data on Monday. Introduced 2 new resolutions this week. One of them is about training ASUC members on how to record keep things like making sure recordings and notes are all in order, because that's kind of a training that not every ASUC member has right now. So I'm gonna fill that gap in like making sure these are all public notice, records are kept well, different transparency reasons. And then another one to modernize the budget committee bylaw. In our last budget committee meeting, we discussed different ways the committee could be changed to make it more responsive, make the structure a little better. So I'm really excited about those. Let me know if you have any questions on the resolutions. We also passed, or not passed, but we posted 2 new operational policies this week. One of them made amendments to the after hours access sheet to specify the types of people that should be granted after hours access, so that the list doesn't get too long, and for safety reasons, this was something that student union facilities kind of asked of us. And then the other one is some guidance for the EDP on what types of speakers to invite for Senate guest speakers, because there was no original policy for that that was already standing. And then we have a couple events this week and next week. We just had our Undocumented Ally training panel, which was really interesting and cool to learn about different, holistic ways that we can be better on this in the undocumented student community. And we did that with USAC and undocumented student program. And then tomorrow we have Ready Set Cal Day. It's gonna be I'm gonna move Kiana's office as well. It's gonna be a free harm reduction. It's like we're handing out free harm reduction supplies, and also there's gonna be $50 Cal Student Store gift cards, Cal Student Store merch and things. So it'll be really fun. We're gonna be out there from 11 until supplies are out. And yeah, contraceptives, all that harm reduction kits. And then next week, we're doing a bunch of Earth Week programming. We're tabling at Sunstock, which is STEAM Solar Powered Music Festival on Sunday from 2 to 4. We're doing a Glee cleanup with PhD and IFC. If you want to come through, we have 3 Celsius. You don't need to sign up, you can just show up. It's gonna be on Tuesday after 4:20. And then we're tabling, handing out some fun stuff on the other days of Earth Week. Shelby and I sent out emails about this earlier today, but Succession Summit is next Tuesday. It's mandatory. One really important thing is to fill out that transition document that I sent, because it's gonna really help your successors and getting guidance about what types of projects and initiatives and advice you want to pass on to them. So make sure to fill it out and submit it to the B courses assignment, and I'll let Shelby talk about the rest. Just wanted to flag that. And then these are some meetings I had this week. Try to see if there's anything I can highlight. I went to the student fee forum, that was cool. The meeting I have on Friday, if anyone's interested, is I'm meeting with the investment portfolio, the ASUC with the CFO and Abby. And yeah, they'll be, sorry, Jonathan and Abby, I don't know if it's interesting. I know, yeah, we finished Days of Appeals, at the this week, so yay. And we were in the 5:40 to the wee hours of the night, so it was really great. And I know I also did finance appeals, so that'll be really great, and it's gonna positively impact a bunch of students, get some increased space and funding. So yeah, and we also had our last ACC Bases and Capital Strategy meeting, and we talked about a lot of cool stuff. If you want to share with each other that, yes. All right, so that's it for me today. Are there any questions? Yes.
What were the cool stuff at the meeting, the outdoor studies?
We just talked about the things we've accomplished so far this year and how we want to set up the committee for next year, because this was the first year committee that was established by my former predecessor, Robert. And we kind of just talked about different space things going on campus. So there's cool projects that ADP has been working on this year. We're getting new furniture in B North. B North is also we have to reassess all the tenants in there and reallocate their spaces, and the rental costs have gone up and things like that. And there's a couple other discussion items, but yeah, it's just stuff that's going on in the student. I'm not remembering everything off the top of my head, but yeah, as I said. Oh, we're also doing an MOU on the 3rd floor of Eshelman with Oasis. So yeah. Okay, awesome. Any other questions? Yeah.
It's more of a point of inquiry. Somebody just texted me and they said that they weren't able to unmute themselves for public comment.
Oh.
I wasn't sure. So.
Okay. Parliamentarian, are we allowed to do virtual public comment?
There are provisions for public comment.
Okay.
Specifically if the CPMA designated a ADA accessible request,
Yeah,
you can just reopen.
okay, do we need a motion? Okay, all right, yeah, thanks for flagging that. All right, any other questions on this presentation before we move on to doing that? Okay, well, thank you guys so much, and then I guess we can, like, stop presentations for right now if you guys would like, and somebody needs to motion to reopen public comment temporarily so the person on Zoom can give their public comment. But it's up to you guys if you want. So is there a motion on the floor for that? And if not, it's okay too.
I motion to reopen public comment.
Senator Stankovic motions to reopen public comment, seconded by Senator Nusi. Any objections? All right, seeing and hearing none, we'll reopen public comment so that the person on Zoom can give a comment. I guess I'll just hold this up to, or you want to plug in the audio?
We'll just hold it down.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I can just.
Yeah, just let them. I guess I'll just
Oh, yeah.
hold this up to, or you want to? Okay. All right, you can go ahead and unmute yourself for public comment. Can you hear us? Or do we have to let them? Oh, that's me.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, how long do I have?
2 minutes, and I'll let you know when you're at 15 seconds.
Great, thank you very much. Hello, Senators. My name is Matthew. I'm an alumnus who worked in the ASUC. Worked as a off the record saying I helped the first ASUC chief legal officer rewrite a lot of the bylaws. I also was the primary proponent for the last ballot measure, ASUC ballot measure that was neither a constitutional amendment nor a fee referendum. And wrote the and the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I have been seeing on social media a lot of misinformation with regards to the divestment resolution that the student body is voting on right now, which is also not a fee referendum and not a constitutional amendment. Specifically, it's been saying that there's a 20% turnout threshold for this ballot measure to pass. That's not true. There's nothing. The only thing that applies to is for fee referendum, and that's not even an ASUC rule. That is a campus rule, and the only reason why campus is able to impose that rule is because, unlike everything else, fee referendum actually requires campus to implement to basically give the ASUC the money. So I'm not shocked that this misinformation has come out, but it's misinformation. It's bad. It'd be very bad if, like, the Elections Council on Friday said, oh, this got majority of votes, but it didn't pass because it didn't get turnout, and then you found it's wrong. You can check the 4300 series of the elections bylaws that covers ballot measures. That you can it hasn't been changed since the last decade per the timestamp in Google Drive. You can check the ASUC Constitution. There's nothing. The only ballot measures that have a minimum turnout in the ASUC governing documents are special elections for ballot measures, none of which have ever happened since they were added to the ASUC Constitution, and recall elections, none of which have happened since a turnout was 30 seconds. Yeah. So again, I hope that you can correct that misinformation, because it would be unfortunate if there's misinformation and the legitimacy of it was attacked or was undermined due to confusion. I would encourage you to push your elections council chair to double check that. But yeah, again,
that's time.
Yeah, thank you. Good luck on your finals.
Thank you. All right. Yeah, so we can reopen response. I have a response, but yeah, Daniel, you can go ahead first. Response, everyone have up to 2 minutes, so I'll tap my gavel when you're at 2 minutes left.
Yeah, just real quick, this is already clarified in elections council and in several option runs. Matthew's correct. For those of you who don't know, Matthew Lewis was chief of staff to the first modern CLO out on that pattern. But basically, yes, due to 20% turnout, yes and no votes not during abstentions to pass. That is a policy imposed by ACO SKD and for the guidelines. Oppositions like the Water Advisory is not part of that. If there's any questions, you're asking, but everything Matthew said is correct. As we clarified internally, I have not taken the effort to go tell people to take down posts. I don't see it as necessary, but
Any other response? Yeah. there's on, there's a, oh,
Is this a question?
you have a question?
Yeah.
Is it like a question for me as
So
chair?
it's like verifying that as long as you get over 50% into that, right?
Yes, yeah, so there was a misunderstanding, initially, just like for lack of like information and like, I also didn't know that it didn't need, 20% threshold, but since it's just a like, it's a ballot like proposition, it's not a fee referenda, it doesn't need 20%. So it's more of an advertising thing, but elections council and CLO and everyone is aware that if it gets majority, it'll pass no matter what, so it doesn't necessarily require 20% turnout for that specific referendum. Yeah. Anything else?
You raised this hand. Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. So then we'll go ahead and we'll return to executive officer reports. So I went first, and now we'll go ahead and move back around to the ASUC members of Academy.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I apologize in advance. I have quite a few updates because I was at Boston for the past 2 days, so I wanted to do all the comprehensive update of everything. These guys have been working on for the past 2 days. What we were presenting with for the past 2 days, so if I ask for an share, please entertain, but thanks in advance. Happy Wednesday. I want to start off with this update from the Justice Office. There's a rally for health and science, so this is directly in support of SB 895. So I make work at Telegram Research and Students Faculties, staff and processes for the weather at California Capital and Sacramento to support SB 895. California Science and Health Research Bond. You can read more about what the bill does, but it matters because this turnout will show lawmakers that California's research community stands united in support of science and innovation. So EC President Mulligan will be speaking, and the UAW President Sean Bain. The transportation provided, so if y'all are interested, I know this is during that week, so if we have capacity, I know there's a bunch of advocacy days also going on during this week, so please understand if you're not able to be there, if you're showing up for another advocacy day. But just want to put this on folks' radar if it's like you were interested, rallying this cause, but this kind of directly comes down to obviously, and y'all just asked me to boost it. We're gonna go straight into UCOP Day 1. This is a lot to read, so my apologies for that, but you can take a picture on your phone, feel free to do that. But essentially, we had various presentations, but all of the main things that we talked about. So the first one was student leadership and UCOP engagement, undocumented student support and experiential learning fellowship, campus safety and SB 98 implementation, UC housing and capital development, student financial aid and affordability, and there are just like that I have with Day 1. I'm going to start at the first one. Feel free to ask me questions at the end, because it was just a lot of information to digest. But essentially, UCOP announced the return of the Student Leadership Summit. So for folks who don't know, this is the opportunity for UC Council presidents and USAC to come together, or UCSA, excuse me, to come together before the school year starts to be integrated with each other, and then from there have a stronger working relationship with UC Office of the President, just so we understand the difference in what the UC Council Presidents can do versus UCSA, and how that translates to a relationship with UCOP itself. Wanted to clarify the role of UCOP's role in supporting student governments and system-wide coordination. So what that means is essentially UCOP shared with us that a lot of issues that we are calling for are campus level. So there doesn't seem to be much jurisdiction from President Milligan over how he oversees the rest of these transfers. But essentially, for example, we'll talk about this for SB98, when we're, example, pushing for text messaging for warning when ICE on campus, that is campus level thing, rather than like something that President Milligan can force the chancellors to do, if that makes sense. I'm happy to further expand on later. Yeah, and also ongoing partnership with UCOP. So they always meet with UCSA and the other counterpart, is Eric, who works very closely with the AAC with students. So there's a lot of coordination and efforts to make sure that we're all kind of all together with the unit and within the UC system. Next, the undocumented student support and experiential learning fellowship. So this one was really interesting to learn, but UCOP actually allocated over $500,000 per campus to support undocumented students ineligible for work opportunities. However, each campus has this under a different name. So for example, for us, it'd be titled like undocumented student support fund. For UC Santa Barbara, it could be named a completely different thing. UCOP was very clear that this is 500,000 of just one-time funding that they allocated. However, it was up to the jurisdiction of the system campus as to how they allocated it. So this is a follow-up we're having with the chancellor's office because I was not aware of this 500K that we received from UCOP, but that's a part of the money one-time fund that they give us. Yes. That's okay. Cool. We're going to move to campus safety and SF98 implementation. So going into campus policy guidance, but campus implementation varies widely. We talked a lot about consistent text messaging alert systems. A lot of folks from Riverside or UC Riverside specifically was really upset that email is the main form of communication because not everyone's just saying email. You know what I'm saying? So they're really strongly advocating for a text messaging system. However, Jody Steiger, the UCOP level, he is the development officer for community safety engagement, mentioned that it would be jarring for community members to receive text and their real fear. However, my duty is on student myself. So I think it's important for us to advocate for these different measures, especially the capacity that we hold. There's unequal implementation across campuses. And we're pushing for standardized real-time emergency communication. Sorry, is there a section extension?
Extend that time by 10 minutes.
Senator Solomon moves to extend time by 10 minutes, seconded by Senator Reading. Any objections?
That's the main point of that. And then for UC Housing and Capital Development, they received the planning on spending 27 billion. Capital weighted from last year from 2025 all the way to 2031 for all the different expansions for the buildings that they're trying to build across the ACC system. And for progress, they built over 38,000 new student beds since 2015. So every year there's an increase in the influx amount of students admitted to the ACC system. So we do have to meet that need, and that goes back to capital development. So that's a big deal. And then lastly, for student financial aid and affordability, they rooted themselves in the Regents Policy 1301, so if you guys want to look that up, so they talked about how Pell Grant is at risk. So at the state level, if you're really interested in advocating at Capitol Hill, that sort, there is a concern about middle class scholarship cuts being proposed in the state budget. So we cut from 1.1 billion to 513 million. And that's very concerning, especially since a lot of low income middle class students depend on these scholarship programs to be able to afford to go to institutions like these. So just wanted to put that on y'all's radar, especially for next year's leadership. The key takeaways from day one: student affordability, housing, and student support. There's still a lot of structural discussion I will say personally with the new policies point goals, just because we are in the midst of a new president. So still trying to understand his leadership and how that trickles down in terms of where money is allocated alongside of this other government. So there's a lot of different things going on, but we're hopeful and still very confident as UC Council to advocate for our students. Advocating for consistent safe communications and stronger financial intentions is our main priorities for day one. This is day two. Sorry, it's very accessible to read, go into the picture, but I wanted to start with undergraduate research student experience data. So for those of you who don't know, this is a survey that you all have access to fill out. It's really important because you're literally saying in this survey where exactly you want UCOP to allocate their funding. So if you haven't taken this, it's called recues. Feel free to just look it up. It's on the main UC landing page, also on Berkeley's website. You can fill it out right now, but it's used for academic program evaluation. So for those who have platforms on academic student success, student services improvements, if you want to work with student union or you want to improve the needs of students, that's what it's used for. Accreditation and accountability reporting, if you have platforms on keeping the ACC transparent and holding your administrators accountable, boom, you can do it there. And regions and system point planning is so important because this is essentially probably used to be more than and it's only a 10-minute survey, but students aren't enticed to take it because it's advertised just for the state, right? So how can we incentivize the students to want to fill out these forms and want to show UCOP where we want our land? So a couple of things, I'll plug that if you want in the email, I can just make that as well. Talk about UC budget and capital constraints. There was a lot of back and forth as to why so much money was being allocated to capital improvement projects. but essentially it goes back to the need for space, right? We all kind of have a collective understanding that space is beautiful, so to be able to have those sort of spaces for students needs that be able to school might back them. So a lot of back and forth with that. The broad theme is that within the school must produce student programs is the main issue. You've seen this all in your tenure, you know, in the inability to get funding for your RSOs, inability to get funding for any other student initiatives because, you know, we're just so that's a limited constraint on that end. Student mental health and well-being, they also were very strict on their capacity versus my mental health summits, but they want to be more active partners in ensuring that we have access and resources to these mental health resources. But it also goes back to that same messaging of, you know, it needs to come from money, or we need money to be able to fund these projects. So maybe we would there. Then we had a briefing with President Milliken. So this was the leadership and system-wide governance, so understanding what his role is with the system. And here is a breakdown of that percentage-wise, so it's easier for folks to understand. But 25% of this role is federal policy, air policy response, 10 to 15 is budget planning, state federal coordination, 50% is regions engagement, 5% is labor relations, and 10% is alumni donor engagement. Something that isn't on here is the individual UC itself. So when we bring things up at the UCOP level, oftentimes it's brought back to us being like, bring it back to your chancellor, bring it back to your administration, which is very unfortunate. But something that we plan on doing, specifically the UC Council of Presidents, is making sure that UC Council of Presidents is part of that percentage, even if it's 2%. But as you can see, it doesn't even say student in that percentage breakdown. So that's something we're trying to reshape in our future relationship with President Logan. More expanded implementation to clarify that they cannot enforce a uniform SC98 implementation across campuses. So just wanted to make that clear for folks, since I know we're all been working on SC98 procedures for the past year. And to reinforce the strong implementation that you still said that. So there's more takeaways. We highlighted the challenges and consistency with safety and mental health systems and lack of accountability and implementation practices at UC level. So I hope this was a good briefing for you all. I hope it was comprehensive. If you have any more questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. But it's really important for us to engage at this level because everything is a trickle down effect, right? And they have that access to state and federal funding, which is so important for us to continue to have all of our different services. So happy to answer more questions at the end of the presentation. I have time. Okay, fire. Yay, okay. So on the events, so I want to highlight shout out to Jane and I for presenting for the ASUC at the CUP forum. Had a council meeting, also conducted 2 meeting board interviews. We had a recap of the board visitors student leadership presented to the board visitors this past Monday. It was great. Really great feedback from the nonprofit arm of Chances Happening. So they're excited to be more tapped into the student experience and actually prioritize being on campus and, you know, meeting with students aside from their year offs. You know, okay. We had spaces and capital strategies, and then my office hosted the event with Pause's student government. We hosted coverage with Rick Models, great events. I was at UCOP the past 2 days. Isha was at the student affairs meetings at Medina. Had a meeting with the all these scholars spoken today. Video also in that as well. Isa attended CCT, so talking about sexual gender-based violence and misconduct. So relation to both HG, how to hear all things, how to do my updates in the meeting. Had a whole event with Senator Ryan's office today, which is great. And also I just spoke at a panel with Rachel Hasser, which is great event. With Mario, he's a part of the urban leadership series, so some really great to see in history and he's still with leaders before us. Upcoming meetings, investment meeting, I'm actually checking tomorrow with Rosemary Kim, ADC, Chancellor's office, you know, how it's super fun. The EDP office there, so next week, but I say DP and Hellwood Park Advisory Committee. If anyone has any qualms about your Hellwood Park, let me like student you know, this committee only meets once a semester, so we really appreciate it. Yeah. There are events that we have, feel free to read that, like it's a lot, so just you guys have this so if you guys have any questions,
Super quick. Do you know how often President Wilson,
yeah,
like visits campuses?
His goal was to visit all of them before his term ended this May, and then everything happened with the DOJ, as you all know, because it shouldn't have been 60 days. So he wasn't so comfortable. But he met UC Santa Barbara, he went to Merced, and he went to Irvine. For most of them, he actually lives in Berkeley, so like mansion, almost.
I wanted to ask about the financial aid part of the units. You said there, you see situations with very long reality, tuition revenue, 40% goes aid and 20% resident tuition increases. How does this go up to 40% one? Or if you already have a question though. Or like, I'm confused on this back bullet point.
It was hard for me to understand what it just, you see, and it's like, key points, salaries, and states of institutions. Yes, so basically, I well, came off like the third struggle numbers, but they were explaining it as the 40% that they take from students would go to the increase of tuition and student services. So we have to verify what exactly those student services was. They're saying that it depends on the class, so that's how they swayed it out of our understanding where everybody is first, but I can also further clarify that for you as well.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Yes. I had a question about the May 4th in Sacramento.
Yes.
How do we register?
Oh. Let me do the easy answers for you.
Okay.
Beautiful, thank you. Are there any other questions? Sorry, really long briefing. Okay, yes.
Is the virtual Cal One card on the agenda for that Cal One card advisory board?
I don't have access to the agenda, but I will let you know. Thank you.
No, systems.
Any other questions? Thank you all for your attention. Happy to clarify any other things you didn't know if you like, and I really encourage you all to be part of these upcoming events or just be more engaged at the level, because there's a lot of things that, especially with potentially governor, that would impact us at EC level. So encourage you more civic engagement for you all. But thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day.
All right, now we'll go, well, is anybody here for the academic affairs office? Okay, if not, then we'll go ahead and move on to student advocate. So Brittany, if you want to come up.
Oh my god.
Okay, hi everyone. I just made these slides just now, just for y'all. I'm just really sitting down to see kind of go to dismiss that. I've been trying to be incompetent, so let me come with some slides today. But yeah, let me get a quick view of this. Oh, okay. Incompetent nonetheless. Give me a second.
April Fools. This is your April Fools.
Stop. Okay, let's see if you are. Oh my god! Wait, this is my karma because I didn't go to execs and appointments today.
Wait, I think it's okay. It's just a
Y'all
little.
got a little slither of myself. Okay. Okay, I'll go over some of the past meetings I had over this past week. Okay, there we go. I met with Mark Stacy as well as Jenny. To talk about gaps specifically. I met with Vice Chancellor Equity Inclusion. I met with MAF team internally within SAO. Also met internally with STSF team. This is actually supposed to be upcoming, but we'll be having an anti-doxing workshop for the graduate assemblies coming May. Also met with BNC, FASO, those are both today, and then for upcoming We have, actually, we'll be at Jana's, all staff upcoming to give an educational workshop to her office specifically about how to, like access specific disability accommodations, just manage disability services on campus, so that should be super fun. Also Taylor through holiday, and then we have a committee on Friday with Jay to talk about SPA stuff and how, they can give a better kind of holistic overview of student parent experience at Berkeley, and then I'll also be meeting with the day with SAO specifically to talk about some of the new student code of conduct changes across UC campuses and giving some input about how we've been navigating those differences. And then next week, Wednesday, we're going to be meeting with the Campus Student Center, or more so giving a training to the Campus Student Center student staff specifically about the research that we can provide at SAO and how we specifically support campus students. Okay. Okay. More updates going instead about my meeting. So I met with Fab. We specifically talked about some future plans for SPSF and opening up some donor alumni accounts specifically. So donors can donate to student parent issues, specifically SPSF, if they have any. I know this is something that they actually had brought up at Board of Visitors a while back. There's a lot of alumni that have talked about some concerns they had about student parents being supported at Cal and how they could afford to support student parents at Cal. So we'll be trying to open up some donor alumni accounts. This might not be this coming semester, or will be this coming semester rather than this semester, since it is coming to an end. But that's something that we've been working on. Also, met OP and the GA, that was last week Thursday to talk about NAF. And they gave us a really good overview of how the graduate assemblies and NAF work, and it's super robust and have a super thorough process that we would hope to replicate within our office. Talking a little bit more in depth about that with FAFSA as well to get some logistical hurdles out of the way. Also meeting again with GA to talk about SPSF. I think I mentioned that, but the main thing that I want to talk about was regarding the gaps. And my meeting with Jenny as well as Mark Stacy, we specifically they had specifically brought up some concerns that they had seen the academic senate and some of the language regarding the GAP proposal. So in the GAP proposal, it does say that students can take up to 7 instructional days off for bereavement. And they were a little bit concerned as to what that could mean, because for a lot of classes, there are some courses that meet once a week for the semester. So if they were to take 7 instructional days off, that could actually be 7 weeks, which is half of the semester. So an agreement that we essentially came up with is having 10 consecutive days across all classes. So that could look like 2 weeks rather than 7 instructional days. Just to give a more consistent overview of what that would look like for them, because that was their main concern outside of funding. So we will be kind of transitioning some of the proposal language to 10 consecutive days rather than 7 instructional days, because that was kind of the academic senate was most comfortable with, and I think it's a bit more fair to instructors and professors to have a more clear guideline as to what it will look like when students are taking time off their bereaved. So that is the transition that we'll be making from 7 instructional days to 10 consecutive days. And yeah, I scheduled, I think I talked about this last week, but I scheduled a date with LNS to specifically talk about difficult client training for SAO. Since we are volunteer led and we're completely student led, we do not have pro staff. We have a lot of instances where we have difficult students come in or difficult situations with students that we're trying to better handle and navigate so we can support all of the caseworkers within SAO so that they can best take on cases and best address student issues. So we'll be getting more professional training and input from LNS, so I'm super excited about that. And then I want to do some updates on mutual aid fund. We actually, OP had first reached out to BNC, but then we also have reached out on our end to just get some more data about the mutual aid fund. So for a refresh, we did allocate $30,000 at the beginning of the last semester, and this is where the funds are currently. The total funds of $30K spent to date are $7,200. Oh, can someone please?
I move to extend time by attendance.
Senator Mayman moves to extend time by 5 minutes. There's seconded by Senator Ty. Any objections?
Thank you. So the total funds spent today are $7,200. The total of those funds, the amount of those funds that were spent in the fall was $6,200, and that was awarded to 5 students. And then the total funds spent in spring today are $1,000 to 1 student. So the remaining balance that we have in the Mixed Needs Literacy Fund is $12,800. So this is just like overview of some of the logistics. I know that I think someone had asked about this last semester. There's any updates on like the funding logistical high level data, so I want to present this to you all. And I was talking to Kyoko, who's the director of BNC, to see how we can kind of stay in touch to get more of this information moving forward. But I think sometimes when it comes to like agency offices donating money to other external offices, it can be something that's not transparent and don't have as much input, or just like transparency and where the funds are actually going. So I really just kind of try to advocate for more transparency there, because I know that is an issue not just for SEO, but across any agency office who's kind of giving their funds away to another office or organization on campus. And then our energy grant update. So I mentioned this earlier in the semester, but we had been involved in phone banking for students who have been prevented from enrolling into the university. So that was very successful, and so far $63,481 have been awarded to a total of 27 students. And last year we were only able to allocate 38,900, so this is a huge increase. Thanks to the work of the caseworkers in SAO, and thank them for all their efforts. Phone banking to 50+ students. Super helpful. And actually, that's what it said. They're interested in potentially matching the funding that has already been allocated. So there's a potential total of $86,099 that can be awarded to students. So yeah, super excited and happy about this crowd, and we'll give you guys an update on how many more students can get funding from this grant. And thank you again for everyone who has posted the graphics. That was super helpful for outreach too. But yeah, that's all for me. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Also, okay, sorry, I told Calvin I'm gonna take 1 second before his update. I just realized I forgot to say something really important during my update, and actually shout out Kiana, because your question is what reminded me of this, so we talked about at the committee meeting. Just in case anyone's interested in this issue, but essentially, I don't know if you guys remember, I told you in February, the RSF Board of Governors voted unanimously to not sell the Blue Gym to Cal Athletics. And there's a whole emergency meeting situation. Basically, the outcome of it was the Chancellor's Cabinet kind of pushed Recwell to give them the Blue Gym anyway, so they could get the donor secured for Cal basketball, like a $1 million donor, I think. So anyways, we're, what is it? $10 million. $10 million. Oh, okay. It was a $10 million donor, and then Recwell got 1 million of it, I guess, then. Because we got like a 1 million award for giving to them. But essentially we're like, me and Abby and the Spaces Director, Claire, are working on a memo / like situation of like reaching out to the Chancellor and his cabinet to let him know that we're really upset with the reduction in student space and the fact that he just completely, like, the cabinet kind of didn't listen to the wishes of the RSF board, who unanimously voted not to get into that agreement. So if anyone's interested in recreation space on campus, it's like a pretty significant reduction of recreation space, just considering how limited it is already. So if anyone's interested in that issue, let me know. I forgot to say this during my first slide, so thank you for giving me grace and allowing me to say it. And then yes, now we'll move on to Calvin.
Hi, everyone. Wow, right, we have both. Yes, so it's both. One more month left of school, but just echoing on President Grove's comments, I actually have a very special guest here with us today. President UCSA, the Institute Association, will be presenting today to the ASUC Senate and sharing a bit of UCSA for activities of education. And so I will, without further ado.
Thank you for having me. It was my Berkeley campus visit today, my last UC, and was able to visit the resource centers and walk around and meet folks. So thank you all for having me. I know it's election season and hectic. I just pressed this ticket. Yeah. My name is Aditi. I go to UC Davis. I'm majoring in political science and nutrition science. And I'm president of UCSA. And hopefully by the end of this presentation, you'll know more about what the board is and what we do. but a bit of history on how we were created. The UC used to be free, and when the first student fees were proposed, this board or the Council of Presidents realized that they were unable to fulfill like their campus duties sufficiently while also pursue the necessary time needed for like furthering state bills and federal bills, and realized that the external duties could be delegated to this body called the UC Student Lobby, which later became UCSA. And the goal and mission is to empower and develop students to champion accessibility, affordability, and equality with the UC system for current and future students in a way that centers equity for all and prepares them to impact the world. So in terms of how we're funded, each student pays, or undergrad student pays $7 to opt into UCSA. Please stay opted in. And hopefully by the end of this, you'll understand why I'm asking that and what your money is used for, but it goes towards our campaigns, staff, student workers, etc. In terms of how we're structured, we're made up of 9 external vice presidents who are voted on by each campus. Calvin's, of course, the Berkeley rep. And they serve as the voting members on big board decisions. And then there's also government relations, which is made up of 9 legislative directors. Corinne is one of them, and 9 organizing directors. So the legislative directors work on governmental advocacy, whether that be approving what state bills we decide to co-sponsor, strongly support, etc. And organizing directors are in charge of engaging with the campus community, meeting with RSOs and identity centers, and ensuring that accurate reflections of what's happening on the ground is brought to the UCSA board. And the external vice presidents sit on this committee called University Affairs, and they're in charge of ensuring we're accurately pushing against UCOP and regional policy to further like UC student priorities, but also pushing on individual chancellors, whatever is committed system-wide. In terms of campaigns, we have 5 standing campaigns. So we have our Racial Justice Now campaign, which is about racial justice, our Acquired campaign, which is about student quality of life, and that ranges from basic needs to health equity, SEED, which is our environmental and indigenous justice campaign, Fund UC, which is our affordability campaign, and UC We Vote, which is our civic engagement campaign. And this year, Acquire is focused on reducing textbook costs and reducing parking costs on campuses. We've made more traction on the textbook cost portion in terms of actually having a solid policy to root for. And right now we're pushing for the adoption of open educational resources across the UC. If you're unfamiliar with what that is, it's basically resources that are openly available to access that can be customized by the professor that's teaching the course. It's been shown for better student retention and also lower costs. And right now, most companies do offer a reduced cost sort of textbook program, but that is due to agreements with monopolistic textbook companies that offer only, like, for example, Pearson is contracted at many of the UCs. Pearson offers the UC a high rate and knows that if the UC takes that on, they sort of have like a monopoly over that sort of subject. And so it doesn't allow for as much individual professor correction of the course material as they like. So
I'm so sorry. We need a
yes.
motion.
Oh my God, yes.
Is there a motion?
I want to set time by 10 minutes.
Senator Manning moves to extend time by 10 minutes, seconded by Senator Mendez. Any objections?
Thank you. I'll try to be quicker. But open educational resources would allow for textbook costs to be reduced, and then also reduce the number of agreements that the UC enters with like large textbook companies that might not provide the best curriculum. UC We Vote, our campaign is to have 2 voting student regions, and right now we have Assembly Constitutional Amendment 18 that's going through the Assembly, and we're hoping it gets passed. But that would allow for both an undergraduate and graduate voting student region at the same time. So that would mean 2 student regions and 2 student region designates. And I'm unsure if you guys know like how impactful the Board of Regents are. I'm sure you do. But for a bit of recap, out of the like the UC cannot be regulated by state policy, and the regents serve as that final judicial body that can counter what the UC is doing, also passes the UC budget, and the UC makes more revenue from its hospital system than its university system actually. So They control a large facet of the California economy. UC is also the second largest or third largest employer in the state of California. So large ripple effects all throughout the state and the nation, because California is the fourth largest economy. C, our campaign is about NAGPRA compliance. NAGPRA is basically the act that requires entities to return native remains and items at a timely manner. And there was a recent audit that came out last year that showed that the UC was hugely not following the timeliness part of that. So this campaign is to push the UC to be more NAGPRA compliant in a timely manner. Racial justice now, our goal was workforce readiness programs, support after graduation. There's been, there's of course a lot of like academic support programs while you're in school, but not necessarily workforce support programs, especially not ones that are tailored for historically underserved students. So this is a campaign that is asking for a budget allocation from the state to allow that set of programs to be implemented across the UCs. And then Fund the UC is generally about the research funding cuts that everyone has been through. So that campaign has been supporting SB 985, which the rally is for. I'm sorry about the numbers wrong. I'm so bad at those numbers. But yes. Other than our 5 standing campaigns, we have a whole set of non-campaign platforms that's run by me and then the appointed officers. Appointed officers are folks who basically serve as a representative of a single issue topic across the system. So our current priorities are free speech, advocating against strong time, place, manner policy implementation across campuses, and enforcement. There's been a sort of disparate enforcement where some, like for example, people waiting in line for a football game will be allowed to break TPM, but not like protesters, and enforcement happens willy-nilly. So it's trying to shine a light on that through press and also call out administration for their increased enforcement on, it's been increased enforcement on actually liberal groups, because Turning Point USA usually gets, of course, at Berkeley too, you all know very well, gets a lot of security protection, while liberal groups get policed by time, place, manner. So it's shining a light on that disparity. For diversity programs, the UC has actually been compliant to a lot of the requests from the federal government, and they've been doing that through silent changes to diversity programs. And that's looked like, for example, at UC San Diego, 50% of their Black student housing got cut, and their BSU is not allowed to run an overnight program that's existed for years. And at several other campuses, there have been cuts to retention centers and their budgets and their staff. And so this campaign or priority is shining, first of all, collecting the student database of that information and ensuring we're calling the UC out for their own compliance, because right now they're really getting away with, oh my God, the federal government's doing everything, when in reality, they're permeating a lot of it as well. Investments is also a priority. Excited to see the referendum that's going to be on the ballot. In terms of the system-wide picture, I was my second term as president, so starting last year, engaged in a lot of conversations with UC investments to understand what they're investing in, first of all, and pushing them to adopt a better index that excludes war industries, etc. Have of course received a lot of non-interactions and pushback, but that continues to be a priority. So excited to see the Berkeley referendum probably go through, and I think that would support system-wide efforts as well. Undocumented student advocacy and international student advocacy is also a huge priority. I know SB 98 was mentioned in the previous report. I think I would urge you all to push back against the narrative that the UC cannot enforce system-wide compliance and police reports and text messages. They can, they're choosing not to. So our push has been trying to use the state to audit the UC more, as well as pushing in our meetings. But the UC oftentimes acts like it doesn't have the power to enforce system-wide rules, when the entire reason that the UC Office of the President exists is to enforce system-wide rules. So that's the note there. And then the second note on undocumented student fellowships, I know that was also mentioned in the previous report. So basically the state provides $5 million system-wide for undocumented student programs. And what the UC did when campuses were given 500K per campus for that funding is that they used it on their center support instead, which then left a lot of centers now having contracted positions across the UC and less funding for their fellowship. So I would urge you all to check in with your centers to see if the fellowship funding even is still being offered at the same amount, because what they've been doing is once the state gave that $5 million system-wide, the UC, that's when they decided to make it a one-time thing, because before then, it used to be continuous. So would urge a pushback, and right now our advocacy push has been trying to get the funding to be continuous again, because they've been using the state funding as a reason to not fund it themselves. And of course, more funding is needed. Black student success is also, I know I'm like probably running out of myself. Black student success is also a priority. Last year, we were advocating for the expansion of UC Prime to more programs, and that continues to be an advocacy priority. Police accountability is also a priority. Police accountability boards currently now report their findings to chancellors, which seems like a doesn't seem like the most effective system, because obviously chancellors would want to protect the interests of their own institution rather than enforcing accountability. So hopefully the goal there is to increase accountability overall. We're working on student housing advocacy. We have, I think, around 4 bills right now in the legislature we're co-sponsoring. That number might be wrong, but if you guys have any questions about the bills, I can get that to you through email. Labor organizing is also a huge advocacy push. We work closely with labor unions, and then disability justice, especially with the recent end of the use of one-time funding. We're trying to get accountability for what actually the funding was used for, and push for more continuous models of funding for disabled students. I will rush past this, but this is some of our historical wins. And for upcoming events and opportunities, we've just had Black Student Advocacy Day and Swana Lobby Day this week, and so tomorrow is Transfer Student Lobby Day. We also have Latini Lobby Day and HPI Lobby Day. That's in May. But all of those would have been available to you through the EAVP office. And yeah, the only other thing to plug is we have our appointed officer applications that'll open, or that are open now and will close May 25th. So if you know any folks who are really interested in a specific issue topic and would like to work on it system-wide, would really urge them to apply. That can be found on our website. This is a QR code. If your student organization has faced any issues in this current federal climate, we're trying to, like I mentioned before, collect that student database of information. This is where you could submit your experience with funding, or if you've been told to change languaging, any like censoring at all. And then, yeah, follow us on Instagram. This is a super old screenshot, but yes. Oh, thank you.
Are there any questions? Yeah, is there, yeah, can we pass the mic to Selena? Yeah.
I don't know if the slides would be available to look at it.
Yeah, Calvin, if you could send them to the Senate admin assistant, we'll have them linked on the agenda. Yeah.
Also, there was a contact you if you have any questions or follow up on the student legislation.
Yeah, totally. My email is president@ucsa.org, and I can totally respond.
Yeah, can you give her?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here. I've never, this was so informative. And I think if you haven't been here before, you should totally come back. And I love this. Yeah, what is like the best way to be involved?
I would say our social media is a good way to stay up to date on like current campaigns. But we also have board meetings every single month. Our May board meeting will actually be at Berkeley, May 2nd to 3rd, by May 3rd is the board meeting day. And would love to have like public comment, and most of it's open for folks, but also you can email me and I can send any other opportunities. There's a bunch of regents committees that we actually, like the external vice presidents vote to appoint people to sit on. That's a great way to get involved in like system-wide advocacy or committees if that's also something you're interested in.
Any other questions? Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That is a reminder for everyone presenting today, send your slides to Senate admin and ASUC. All right, I got a request from parliamentary to move elections chair reports right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and open that in first before giving officials. So if you could get our elections chair Ryan there to present his.
Yes.
Was it earlier? Oh, yeah.
Hi, everyone. It's a day today. Okay, here's what we'll be doing. You can tabling, obviously, we have around 5 a.m. today. We'll be monitoring, of course, the state violations report, the finance form. We're gonna make the tabulations on Friday, more about that soon. But speaking of voting, I actually gotta ask you guys. We just posted something at like 6 p.m. Please repost this. I need it. Hop on the Senate account, we'll repost on there, we'll add a story. Yeah, it's also with the ASUC, like we collaborate, so you can also go there and find it. Please do not need this. Some future stuff. So like I said, calculations this Friday, from 7 to 8:30 and Lavelle 155. I'm sure a lot of you guys will be there, I don't know why, but our last EC meeting will be next Monday at 5 p.m. Just do like a little after election review, and also we'll be reaching out to candidates with like a form in order to like gauge their opinions and how they felt about elections and improve elections for next year. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. And last line at all, make sure to vote. Thank you.
All right, now we'll go ahead and circle back to our appointed official reports. So we'll start with Chief Financial Officer John.
Wonderful. My penultimate reports, because I don't know what we did today, that's fun. Congrats on finishing a deal. Congrats to Spacecom, sorry, Belcom, Green Spaces. I know it's another bit a lot to get through. For this year for ASUC, there were 46 total applications, at least from the financial side, and that's tech. Demand before adjusting for invalid applications, so this is wrong, I need to update this, because I had an arithmetic error, which, you know, for someone with my background, I just way more than I would admit. But the total amount requested before invalid applications was around 210,000. The amount after was around 208.5 thousand. The total funding availability was around 40,000. So it's the same story of we just have more demand than supply. But ASUC is done. I think this year as well, a lot of the clubs were just understanding of the fact that ASUC is something constrained, and hopefully we'll work to make a lot of things so continue to move on and find solutions to operate given the funding constrained environments. So a little bit of a reflection on OCFO and what we've done. So OCFO on top is the acronym I use when people ask me what the CFO does. Stands for transparency, oversight, and processes. So in terms of transparency, we publish a lot of documentation. Those of you in FICOM know the FICOM bootcamp that I sent to like a 10-page document, which was a lot, but it's okay. I heard that it was helpful. It was helpful, right? Okay. FICOM bootcamp documentation, the OCFO storage guide, which is a new piece of documentation meant to serve as an intermediary between the raw agent e-course and not knowing anything,
how to prepare for a field, ASUC guides, or that was an email. On that financial intelligence lab, so I'm the first year with data scientists and data engineers, and we can analyze around 5+ years worth of financial records. So hopefully I'll have quantitative reports coming on basically how we spend our money, and how our SOs spend their money too. Active Instagram, not really, but I have great mental health. Oversight, finance bylaw updates, a lot of updates on relaxation and restrictions, so just for example, the 30% free cap on contingency, that's gone now, because that really was generating more problems than it was benefits. Department of Oversight and Compliance and Inspectors, also a new department. Inspectors just recently kind of like wrapped up advising GSF as they finish their final rounds of allocations. That's great, carrying out dedicated audits. Internal record keeping, so fine contracting sheet, updated, we have some universal rubrics, most of data confidentiality policies, all in line with kind of the CFO's role, and also maintaining good, clear, consistent financial records and making sure financial data is well protected. Processes, ASUC revamped, we revamped the budget template, it doesn't look terrible to look at anymore. Now in the rest of the application does. New ASUC grading system. So this year, every single application passed by multiple graders, and had multiple people making comments and flags and marks, which was a new system that I think was quite beneficial in providing more clarity and more judicious process of setting funding. The ASUC CFO and ASUC email system, which is a blanket email group that RSOs can email and it will route to the correct official within OCFO to answer questions for like online developing system as a system for improving faculty efficiency, constant disbursement system optimizations. And we answered a lot of emails. I think we answered probably more than 500, each one averaging 35 sentences by 10 different staff members within OCFO. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Looking forward, so this is probably gonna be my last like serious report. I think what I'll have done for my last report during the last week of instruction will be probably a little bit of an OCFO office takeover, so I can really put in front of you the time to extend. Oh,
Is there a motion to extend? Senator Solomon moves to extend by 5 minutes, seconded by Senator Alray. Any objections?
but yeah, I really want to like put my office people out there, if they're not shy and not willing. So I'll probably have a little bit of OCFO office takeover for my next set of slides. I'm not gonna read the second line. I love you, but supposed to delete that, but apparently I forgot. But fun fact, multiple ASUC officials have showed up to their last meetings in prior years, not fully sober. You can text me and guess which ones are which. Because I've been here for a long, but this also is something. Okay, so off to a straight recruitment cycle. So we are OCFO going to start recruiting for fall 2026 in coming weeks. Pretty much everything is open to the staff, administrative aides, budget department, which does ASUC, oversight and compliance for the inspector, admin officers records, bidding lab, which is data science engineers. We're opening it all back up. We're looking for a lot of people. So if you know people who are interested in OCFO, man, why are you? Thank you. Okay, and then OCFO project to come. Finance update 3. We have some patches and focus to go up. With some file things, something started at GSF, which is something I'm going to meet with them this Friday on. Investment policy reform, which is something that OCFO will be working on probably with CLO. These are projects that will either happen this semester or next semester. Yeah. And then I kind of wanted to also, I think, reflect a little bit on my journey. So I'm really old, guys, in case you guys can't tell. I joined ASUC in fall 2022. I was in the Senator's office, and then I was in another Senator Sonia's office. Became a senator for 2024, and then I became CFO. So I've been here a long time. In case I'm not, and then yeah, I guess that happens eventually. But I kind of wanted to take a minute to also reflect on my journey in the ASUC a little bit. I think having spent, my full college career here, obviously there's always been times that have been frustrating and tiring, and I think everyone can relate to that. But I think thinking back, the thing that I always really appreciate with my time is just having the opportunity to meet people I otherwise wouldn't. And the thing that keeps me going is, I think, seeing new generations of leaders come in with a lot of hope for what they want to do. So yeah, that's my year. That's a little bit about what I've done, and that's a little bit about me. And yeah, I'll probably be here for the next report. But in case I'm not, that's it.
Any questions?
So yeah.
Daniel has a question.
So I heard you're doing a master's program next year. You gonna come back?
Oh, hell no.
Well, I'll be fortunate nice to do GA. Well, it's meeting to brother right now. Oh, okay. Okay, well, thanks, Jonathan. And no questions?
No,
All
no.
right,
So I was saying.
all right.
Oh,
We'll
provide.
move on to our next appointed official report, our Chief Personnel Officer Shelby Coleman. Picture so cute, I didn't see that.
Alright, this won't be as horrible, I guess, but this is my last one, but this is a little sad. It is ASUC senior pit. That, RIP. Alright, so it started. Okay, so some updates, student union board undergraduate rep was selected, and that'll be Claire Hinsdale, she's the current space. Final admin office oversight committee will be meeting 2 weeks from now. And then these bottom two, some of you are about to be ASUC unemployed, so keep these in mind. JC app, they opened this past Monday, they're gonna close Saturday, we have 4 open seats, a lot of open seats. And there is a 1-year term available, so if you're gonna be a rising senior, you are also eligible to apply. And then elections council chair, especially for a lot of you with elections experience. That's gonna open next Monday and then close that following Saturday. So those are kind of our remainder of positions being filled for the year. All right, end of year report, it's been added to B courses. It's gonna be due next Friday in line with the bylaws. Take a look at the assignment. There are just some different things to include in it. But there is an example as usual, just kind of overview of what you've accomplished your year, that kind of thing. Banquet, RSVP, and nominations have closed. The event's now in capacity. And then an attendance reminder, I've been getting a lot of suspicious familial deaths, food poisonings, a lot of things. So just please be honest, don't ruin it for other people. I've tried to be as lenient as possible with excusing things. I want you guys to be out there, working with the students as much as possible. But if I do think you are trying to get something past me, I will follow up with you on it. I also will not be excusing anything that was for your personal gain. There's a large difference between a community event and you doing something to benefit yourself or a campaign, and that is not excusable. So please do not ask about that. So please finish out the year strong. We only have however many meetings and Senate meetings, all that left, so please attend. And then again, elections, obviously, I think we're all very aware they closed on 59 tonight, but please vote. I know some of us, if we're too busy doing other things, we forget to actually submit our own ballots, so please do that. And then just keep in mind, please be kind to one another. This is a very heated time, and if somebody is not being kind to you, then please let me know. It's better to do that and go an official route where I can take care of it versus another route. So just please let me know. And I know, it's like, as nonpartisan, it's really important that I don't share with you all like who I'm advocating for it, but I just feel really passionate about one candidate. He actually left, but I just want to let you all know I'm flying with Nye. He's really important to me. So please, like, when you're, think about this, and you're filling out your ballots. Okay, Succession Summit, next Tuesday, 4/21 at 4:30 p.m. in the Senate chambers. It's mandatory, and actually, according to the bylaws, it's a 5% stipend reduction if you don't come, so that's kind of hefty. I didn't come up with that, so, but 5%, a formal email was sent out by me, though I know the decal's been out, and I've also been mentioning it. At Senate the past couple of times, so you're all well aware, but the formal invitation was sent out today. I got a couple questions about like next year's elected, they will find out right after tabulations. About this, though, I mean, it's public. Candidates, they have this on their radar. And then Isha also sent out an email about the transition docs. They're not super involved, so please actually fill them out. It's only like a page or two, and the assignment is again already up in B courses. Please come, and on time if you can. I understand it's a Tuesday and we have a lot of 3:35 Tuesday, Thursday classes, including myself. I have one. So I included this in the email, but I'm gonna try to start like programming at 5 to kind of like accommodate for this. So please still come at 4:30 if you're able. And then if you do have class, please try to leave a couple minutes early and be here at 5. I can send like you an excuse letter, like with the bylaw and all that. If like your professors want something more official from the association, I'm happy to provide that if you'd like to leave class a little earlier. But yeah, so all of that info is there. And then spring stipends, I feel like we just did fall stipends, maybe because fall stipends were kind of into March for some of you. So they will be opening for submissions Monday. Email with instructions will be sent then, similar to the fall instructions. Please read it, like read the instructions, because sometimes when I get the submissions, I'm like, okay, you just didn't follow. It's like really just in line. You just do that. I promise you won't get confused. And a reminder, if you request for the full amount, you do not do any deductions or math yourself. You just submit for the full amount. Include fall, if you have not yet received it, or if you're an exec appointed, if you didn't even get your summer, include that in there. And then just a reminder, I kind of mentioned this like a little bit earlier, but there's no rollover. Once the fiscal year closes, you cannot access that money anymore. So once the fiscal year closes, no more. So make sure all your reports, if your absences are in. I will be in contact with you directly if the abs are still an issue, but if you haven't heard from me, that's a good thing. That means they're pretty much in. So just please keep it in. On top of your stuff, because again, if you don't have your stuff in by the deadlines in this email, then I can't help you. You're getting deducted, or you're getting, even if like you did do the report, whatever, like we need to make sure all this is sorted ASAP. There is no winter break or anything. And then just a reminder about the volunteer forms.
Are you done? Because you're out of time.
No, I will.
Okay. Is there a motion to extend time?
Move to extend shall be signed by 4 minutes.
Senator Reading moves to extend time by 4 minutes, seconded by Senator Mayman. Any objections?
Okay, thanks. And then just a reminder of the volunteer forms. I know they're kind of like so annoying, but they are a legal thing doing like with our employment and saying that you're providing volunteer services. And that protects not only the association, but you and your office and all of that for years to come. Like it just certifying that they're providing their services voluntarily to the ASUC. So it is actually important. And then if you have questions about any of this around your eligibility, like what you're missing, if you're like want to be 100% sure, then we have exit interviews. So they're 15-minute check-ins. We can go a little over, that's fine. And so how we're going to do this is I'm going to send you all of the ecal. And then if you just don't want to come to it, that's fine. You just decline it. And then I know you don't need it. We can go over anything end of year related. It can simply be a 5-minute meeting where you're like, hey, am I missing any attendances, any reports? And I just go no, and it's cool. But we can go over anything for the remainder of the year. Overall attendance, we can confirm report submission, go over remaining volunteer forms. If you have personnel concerns, if you have issues with transitioning to your successor, if you have stipend PR questions, I'm happy to sit there and walk through the stipend with you. Just anything you want to go over, because like I noticed at the end of last semester, obviously there's a lot of like confusion about some things, and I usually get those emails after. It's like after I submit your stipend with the deductions, then I finally get the email. Oh wait, I thought I was present on this day. So I just want to clear that up. I'm just gonna send these out. They're gonna be like this upcoming week, but again, just decline it. I just thought it'd be easier if I just send them out using your BKL availability versus giving you guys like a form or something. I was like, I'm just gonna send them out. If you don't want it, you just decline it. But I'm happy to go over anything and everything for the rest of the year. Okay. Any questions about anything we just went over?
I'm wondering if you were gonna send like a document like you did last semester with like each person's like miss, like how they did.
No, because the courses can show that, or you're talking about, I'm sorry, you're talking about absences.
Yeah.
You're talking about absences, yeah, I can do that, that's something, or, sorry, I was like, yeah, with the, but with attendance, no, so if you want to go over, that was just kind of at the beginning of the year as a courtesy, and then I realized it actually has created so much more work for OCPO. So if you have concerns about your attendance, then just come to this and we can make sure you're all good. Though this is something that also keeps coming up, is so the way I do attendance is off of the minutes. So it's the official record and that's what I use for your attendance. So if you notice a discrepancy on, like minutes, if you know you're in that meeting, and your attendance doesn't look right, contact admin office. Because they are the ones who go in and fix it, and I would recommend CCing like your committee chair or somebody in the Senate, like to verify, like corroborate you were there. But that's what I go off of, so if you have discrepancies with that, but yes, if you want to check yourself, you can just check the minutes of the meetings you're in, and as long as it says there, then you're good.
The 15-minute meetings with you, what time will we be sending them out? Where's the time?
So that's gonna be beginning this upcoming week, because I wanna get it into you guys before like stipends are due, so we can kind of go over that. And I'm just gonna use a retail availability, like a retail availability. I'm just gonna like put our calendars together and then. Yeah. So yes, you're also welcome to propose a new time, that kind of thing, but just thought it'd be easier, one less thing for you guys to fill out if it just arrives in your inbox. Okay, any more questions? Okay, awesome, and there's one last thing, remember, yeah. That was real quick, I thought that was, that thing I left. You feeling alone right now, Daniel? Yeah, I know. Okay. But yeah, just remember, you're welcome to text me, but again, email preferred, because I will see it that way, the text can get lost, so. All right, thank you guys. Thank you. Alright, next up, we've got our CLO, Daniel Gold.
You'll get started with the last one. Y'all know the drill. There's a funny day on Monday, April 20th. Hopefully, anyone has any plans on that day, besides submitting resolutions before noon. That's the, just have your resolutions in. I saw a lot of stuff on the agenda, that's good, I'm hoping I'll clear your backlogs. Have those in by April 20th at noon. That is the last day for us to have them on the regular calendar for all this stuff. Also, voting is really easy, like I can do it right now, just. Okay, yeah, so get your votes out, y'all know the drill. I'm gonna go for a second to all that stuff. But yeah, any questions, any final mop-ups on resolution? I know a few of you reach out to me, send it to me. I cannot promise to look at it before tabs, but I can sort of look for the weekend and mop-ups, final bills and that kind of stuff. Just end of the year and all that stuff. I'll do the savvy end of year at the last update. But yeah, sure.
Wait, I should have asked this during Ryan's update, but you just reminded me, where is the tabulation ceremony?
Tabulation ceremony is this Friday from 7 to 9 p. It's 7 to 7:30. 7 to 8:30 in Journal 155. We've got the big room this time, not Valley. So yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Cool.
Okay. And then nobody's here for CCO, right? Okay. And we'll move on to. Yeah.
Cool. Hey guys, I'll be really fast for today. First, we're working alongside Isha and Shelby to push for prioritization of SEO for better search visibility for the ASUC website. I know a lot of senators have been pushing for that. So we're working on that right now. I know Isha spoke with the webmaster, was it today? Yesterday?
Yeah.
Recently?
Yesterday.
Yeah. For Berkeley Town, we're implementing new styling changes. I don't know if you guys have tried out Grad Track, it's basically the 4-year class planner. We've been working on that. It's like you should go try it out. We're working on adding a comment functionality in the staff dashboard as well, just to like improve Berkeley Town's functionalities. So unfortunate news, Bear is a project that we've been putting resources into for 2 years. We decided to not continue with the project because to focus on higher impact initiatives, we were focusing way too much on it and we didn't make enough progress, so we decided to get rid of it. So the newest project we've been working on, Berkeley Goggles, we've been integrating it back in for ASUC. We were working with CPO to create a special ASUC directory to get all ASUC orgs onto the website. So we're presenting at the session summit, and we'll also be rolling out GBO. Berkeley Mobile, we're developing a new tab called Today. We'll have more information on the next presentation. From off status, we're integrating library room booking and our ACC showcase is scheduled for May 11th from most likely 3 to 6 p.m. To highlight our project milestones. If you guys are interested in coming out and check and just supporting this, please let me know. And me and Isha are meeting with the Track ACC founder on Friday. And so basically Track ACC, I think someone created it during, what was it, recently, and we really like the design. So we're talking with them to see if we can steal some of the ideas and implement it into our impact tracker. Also, we worked with a few of you guys for our websites. Can we please get you guys information? Just email us back so we can get that finished up. And then if you guys have any websites you want to create for your communities, please do let us know. We're always here to help. That's my updates. Thank you.
Oh, that's a question.
What is Track ACC?
Yeah, you want to answer that?
Wait, what is it?
What is Track ACC?
It was like a website that somebody made, and it had a really good UI of all of our meetings and the recordings, and it had public comment summaries and stuff like that. And it was just a very accessible UI interface. So we're meeting with them to ask them about the design and figure out if we can.
Yeah, and the data they use is all public data from the Google Drive. They even show the resolutions. There's some other things on it that weren't ACC, that we could just take the website, they were scoring senators and stuff. We don't need to do all that. We really like the how they utilize data that we already have, and we just want to learn how we can do that for you guys. Yeah. They just crashed. They think they just got rid of it. Yeah. Cool. Any other questions? Cool. Thank you guys.
And so we had one more time.
Just because I got a question about this right now, so the decal for banquet that you just about was just a hole, that was just a decal, that was not the RSVP system. If you didn't RSVP for banquet, email Mikhail or Matt, and they will add you to the wait list. Normally spots do open up, so I wouldn't be too concerned, but there was that formal in that email, the formal RSVP link, so if you didn't do that, still would like to send email about that.
Okay. Now we're going to move on to committee reports. So every committee will have a brief time to get a brief update about what we discussed this week. So we'll go ahead and start with Finance Committee with Senator Albright. Somebody can pass the mic over to her.
So we finished up House appeals, like Jonathan said. Yeah, it was a lot easier this time because it kind of just leftovers from the first meeting. We were able to look over specifically the engineering student council, which they need a lot of help with funding because there are a lot of cuts from their department. So it's cool to kind of just hear them out and hear that they support kind of other clubs within. They're gonna have their own ASUC process. But yeah, that was pretty much it from.
All right, and then we'll give you a copy.
So yeah, just part 2 of all the space appeals went relatively smoothly. Shout out to Clara, that was probably fictional work. And then we had 2 bills. One of the bills we tabled for 1 week, but Yeah, just echoing Daniel's point of it, so it's okay. Like it's not even that first.
And then XCOM, Abdul.
Hey guys, I shared the X conflict for some of those really fine. Yeah. We just had a few bills, one about endorsement sections, the endorsement of also both on to Margo, one about your support of civil practice in the student union, treatment and strike, and so we're talking SB 1038, issue 18 and SB 94. I think the table will go for next week, and we also going to go about the union of the season trials. Yeah, we can hold for those.
Great. We'll now move on to public comment on consent calendar and immediate consideration items. Is there any member of the public here to give public comment? All right, seeing then, we'll go ahead and move on to our second attendance roll call of the night before we vote on pending new business for the Senate. So please indicate your presence when you hear your name called, starting with Senator Ambusi, Senator O'Ryan, here, Senator Beardsley, here, Senator Cannon, here, Senator Cho, here, Transit Representative Miguel, here, Senator Bolshani, here, Senator Macaro, here, Senator Lehman, here, Senator Mendez, here, Senator Nunez Rivera, here, Senator Ugarte, here, Senator Sanchez, here, Senator Scott, here, Senator Solomon, here, Senator Stanley, here, Senator Reading, here, Senator Thadan, not present, Senator Tai, here, Senator Schwed, Senator Kang. All right, at this time, we will move on to the consent calendar. We have our committee agendas, some resolutions, an appointment to the ASUC Student Union Board, and the spreadsheet of all the final ASUC allocations, including budget and spaces, following the appeals process that occurred the last 2 weeks. So is there a motion on the floor for the consent calendar this time? As Representative Miguel moves to the consent calendar, second by Senator Stanley. Any objections? All right, seeing and hearing that, the consent calendar has been approved unanimously. All right, we are now at immediate consideration. Is there a motion on the floor? I would smile upon a motion to open discussion.
I move to open discussion for 15 minutes.
Representative Miguel moves to open discussion for 15 minutes, seconded by Senator Solomon. Any objections? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and open discussion. I'll actually kickstart it with this one, if that's okay with you all. Also, if somebody could message Abby, I think she's around, she's like in the building, if somebody could message her to come up here.
I can.
Okay.
She's at work, but she said she would.
Oh, okay, she told me she might, okay, that's okay. Maybe just,
Just in case, yeah.
yeah, just in case, she said she might come on, so. Yeah, essentially, there was just a couple amendments we needed to make to this bill. First thing was, I wasn't at XCOM this week, but Abby wanted to change the name, of the bill, and we need to, so I don't know if she still wanted to make that change. There was another name that was considered, but, that name, we can't make it that because it was a confidential decision. And so I also wanted to make another amendment to language, but I guess since Abby's not, or does anyone in XCOM have any thoughts on the like name part of it, or like what the discussion around changing it? Just know that like the name that was talked about in XCOM this week, we can't make it that, if that makes sense.
Why?
Oh wait,
Yeah. What was the decision in the, like, cutting the last? Like saying.
oh,
you're
you're
not
not
it.
Dolores Bertha?
Yeah,
That part of it?
yeah.
Are you talking about the,
Like why did you guys like that?
right here?
Is my question.
I wasn't there when they did this session, so I don't know if some, yeah, some. Actually, I was a bit, maybe I never fixed it for this. Cause I want.
Yeah.
Cause I can't really say, so, like, I can't really, so, okay, let me just go to this. So I sit on the state assignments and capital improvements committee, and we had a special meeting on Friday, and we voted on the naming of the Cedar Chavez building, and there was a decision made in that committee. But like, the decision is confidential until the chancellor approves it and UCOP approves it. Like, you could probably just like, the pop, you know, you can think about but, sorry, I don't wanna say, think what else to say, but. Like, I just can't share publicly what the actual, like, whether we unnamed it or not unnamed it, well, if that makes sense. And also another piece of context is, the meeting I had last week was for unnaming, not for renaming yet. And the renaming process will be separate, and my predecessor will be part of the renaming process. So one thing I had like casually mentioned to Abby as well is like, if we want, we also like, if we want to give the next people, like, kind of the next few ASUC Senate, like, discussion time, what they all like agree on, what the naming of the building should be. Like, we can give them a formal suggestion, or like the ASUC Senate next year, we decide. That makes sense. And I know, like, if that is coming, I was doing it, and then you want to see, or is that go through? Okay. Or anything you want to talk? Yeah, so I will like the next time.
To answer your question, I was gonna, I was gonna propose an amendment to strike renaming it to the Lotus Mental Center, only because, the chancellor never made a commitment to rename it to that, and I think, while I think the Lotus Mental is a icon, I have like fears and stuff, I think it should be open to next year's, community leaders to decide collectively and decide like, people from their specific community, they would maybe like to rename the center after, so it's not just like focused on the Latino community, and it's not just naming it to the Lotus African Center just because she was one of the victims in this case. But she wasn't the only victim, if that makes sense. So she should give justice to other community leaders in history, throughout history, in different communities. I guess the opportunity to. And I think
I think that was a very like much more eloquent way of what I said, but basically like, the renaming process is happening next year as well, so like it can be a conversation that this time is sometime next year about what they would like to formally recommend to the community to rename it.
And I had spoke with Abby before she left, and I just wanted to change like urging university administration to like rename the center so that it can start the process without mentioning like any specific committees. If everybody's like okay with that as well, just so like the bill is more like cohesive with what we want the actual bill, the resolution to address.
Can you give me that access?
I just think I don't know if it's who else?
Okay, sorry.
Okay. And if anybody wants to be sponsored.
Yeah.
Sponsored.
Okay, so it sounds like, so can you repeat the rename to rename?
Yeah. Urging university administration to rename the student child students.
I'll start the. Okay, and then another point I wanted to bring up with this was the therefore. If so, right here it says therefore be resolved. They call out the executive vice president ASUC designee to be involved in the renaming process. We don't need to include this part because we only get one ASUC designee. It's the executive vice president. So I will, if that's okay with everyone, I'll change that. And then Nikki, I was also curious for that last therefore. So the chancellor did commit to undoing it. Was that like?
We said
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god. He sent out a statement saying that he will make a commitment to unnaming it, but like you said, Isha, he also specifically mentioned that the unnaming and the renaming process were different, so he didn't make any actual commitment to like renaming it to anything. And I can forward the email to everyone if you guys really want to see it. But yeah, I think it was also an email sent out to everyone, so I could also look up the email line if you guys are interested in reading that.
Okay, that's all right. I just want to make sure that I was like that was what he said exactly, so those six to get the read. Okay, great.
You sure?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
You should do it, I guess.
Yes.
Can you also add me as well?
Yeah.
Also as Margaret Solomon and Russian video
Okay.
and Rachel Cairo.
Okay.
And just that whole thing of this.
Okay, yeah, Isabel's working on it too. Yes, it was.
Raise your hand.
Reg.
Also add ad hoc, South Asian ad hoc. Chair, Chairwoman, EFT Red. Yes, also add Echo Senator. Bella Santos and QT plus the George Senator Aiden Reason. Yes. Yes. I'm gonna, oh, and also Talia Goshani, please. Also, I'm gonna pass my to Nikki now, which you've already had this also.
Yeah, just really quickly wanted to say, if you go to your personal Berkeley email, the email that should have been sent to everyone is called Supporting Our Community and Next Steps on Naming Review Regarding Cesar Chavez Student Center. So if you want to look over that email, see his statement on it, and then what he plans to implement or like act on.
Someone wants to be added.
Sean, do you want to?
Yes, I'll run.
Summer.
You should, can you please add Finance Committee Chair. And that's the Senator, Summer, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. Is anyone not in there that wanted to be?
Is anyone not on it?
Okay.
Yeah. Talia, please. Is there a?
Oh, sorry. Okay, anybody else that wanted to be on it? Okay. Okay. Oh, yeah, I have summary. Already, yeah. Transfer it. Yeah, transfer it to special. Oh, okay. That I'm already considered. Okay, sure. Okay, so it's just the. Yes, okay. Do you all want to make a formal recommendation for next year's Senate to make a decision on this? Like, that's something we don't.
Renaming.
Yeah, like we added therefore clause saying like the ASUC Senate of this year recommends the ASUC Senate of next year to think about. Like, or to suggest renames to the executive vice president, for example.
Would this be one of the first things that the Senate decides on, or do you know the chancellor has a specific timeline on?
So the unnaming will probably be done by the end of the year, or like the decision on the unnaming. And then the committee will probably talk about it next year, so I'm assuming it'll be done by the end of the fall semester next year. I don't know exactly what the timeline will look like, but I'm assuming like there'll be a period for public comment towards the beginning of the year. For like campus to submit their thoughts. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So then in the.
I don't know if it might be like in September, like I'm not gonna say it's like at the very beginning of the year, yeah.
So like not making a therefore be a clause that immediately. That immediately makes them, you know, like recommending, but just.
I see.
You say no?
Oh, wait, no.
Oh.
I was stuck.
Oh, okay. So, wait, okay, so do you want to include a clause like that? Or we don't have to?
I think you do.
Okay. So basically, the clause that you guys would want to make is, therefore be it further resolved that you recommend that next year's Senate class, like, decides on, I mean, I don't know if you want to do like one name or like a couple names that they want to recommend to the EVP for the committee.
I feel like maybe a list of names. Yeah.
Maybe like not like one or more names, or like not limited to something, yeah.
I recommend two names.
Larry Leong and Philip Cruz, please. And also, of course, the letters were.
Well, yeah, but the idea is that, the idea is that like, yeah, like they would like basically talk about it next year. No, no. I was like, we're trying to not. Yes, okay.
That's what Sean Reed said.
Oh, Sean.
You should.
Rename it to Isha.
You should try.
Okay.
You know what, Matt, for staying here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
We're workshopping. Speaking on behalf of the teachers family. My feet is cold.
Your feet are
Okay.
Yeah, this makes, this is good, so you guys like the way I wrote it, I don't know, like, I don't know if list of one or more names makes sense, because it's like, if it's one name, it's on a list, so.
You have to like compile the recommendation and
Like, yeah,
look at as the values. Yeah.
okay, is that good? Yeah.
I think it's a little bit like, definitely like sending out a survey to the student body, like, what should we?
Yeah, so the committee will do that anyways, and like send a university-wide email to get public comments. That's what happened with the unnaming process. Like I was telling you guys last week, it was like 90% or something voted in favor of unnaming from like the 300 public comments we got, so, yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
You sure you're?
What?
You're the god.
Aw. All right, great. All right, are we ready to, is there a motion on the floor? Yeah.
Motion to approve.
No, wait, we need to exit, sorry.
Oh, sorry, motion to exit, informal discussion.
Senator Scott moves to exit informal discussion, seconded by Senator Macaro. Any objections? I was just like, oh, you know, usually second, so I was like, so. It's like, why don't you say like that? Okay. Okay. Any objections to exiting? Seeing and hearing none, we've exited. Is there a motion on the floor at this time?
I think to approve item A on meeting consideration as amended.
Senator Todd moves to approve item A on immediate consideration as amended, seconded by Senator Mann. Any objections? Right, seeing and hearing none, the SR 2536-101 will be approved as amended and be passed on the same. Okay. Now, we'll go ahead and move on to munis. This is a really big outcome week, so GovCon, ready? Okay, 2536-103 will be going to GovCon. 2536-104 will also be going to GovCon. 2526-105 will also be going to GovCon, right? Yeah, do that. Okay, we'll be going to GovCon. 2526-106 will be going to GovCon. 2526-107 will be going to XCOM. 2526-109 will be going to GovCon. 2526-110 will be going to GovCon. 2526-111 will be going to GovCon. 2526-112 will be going to GovCon. 2526-113 will be going to GovCon. 2526-114 will be going to X. Now it's time for announcements, so you all will have up to 2 minutes to give an update about what your offices are working on, so, where's the mic? Let's know where the mic is, if that's okay. Do you want to start like here, you guys want to start over there and then we'll loop back around? Okay, yeah, awesome. And I'll stop my gavel when you're at 15 seconds left.
I'll just make this quick, biggest announcement, Metalito is happening this Sunday, so I'll get to it on Friday, but this week we're gonna get it done. So, be there, be square, as you all there.
Again.
And please go on Sunday. And you see me, you don't know me.
What was that?
Hey, all, this will be very quick, but just two things. One, the Filipino community on campus has like, an ongoing campaign to advance transparency for both the Filipino and the East Asian and Southeast Asian Center. For context, back, in 2024, Philippine government, granted UC Berkeley Center for Southeast Asian Studies about 1 million pesos, that is about like $17,000 to fund just one lecture. This grant again was renewed this year for about $7,000 to the Institute of East Asian Studies, again for just one lecture. For quote unquote like promoting like Filipino culture and like history. But unfortunately, what's going on in the motherland because of US-led wars, like the crisis going on, like gas prices going up, and also the cost of living crisis is getting out of control, and like so many Filipino migrants are being neglected basically by the Philippine government. Like this petition basically is just denying transparency from East Asian Southeast Asian Center to how they're gonna allocate the funds, and also like urging the Philippine government to not neglect migrants and Filipino migrants. And like if you have this much money basically, like, why are you not using that money to help migrants here? Yeah, that's just a petition. I sent it to the Slack if you all could like help sign it. It's less than a minute to sign the petition. And one last thing, please apply, encourage folks to apply for Asian American Native Hawaiians, like Islander. Lobby Day, it's the first ever, and like they really worked hard on it. Shout out to me and Steve, shout out to Range, shout out to EVP. So please encourage folks to sign up for that. Yeah, it's due April 17th. All right, thank you.
No major updates from me, I hope to see you guys all like, okay.
Thanks for Lobby Day tomorrow, I'm so excited, and that's all.
No worries, Laura, I don't have
Yeah.
time.
I don't have very many updates. I know selection weeks to shout out everyone in Market City, Sawdust as well. I know it's a lot of hard work, so I'm proud of everyone here, and see you guys next week.
Good, our mental health lobby, day, have a great week. Thank you guys.
You as well, have a good holiday, and 420.
Everyone, yes, Eagle Lobby is Friday and our meet is next week, so keep an eye out. I don't.
Sorry, how big everyone, have a good weekend. Same as weekends.
You see on how they go with it.
It's like that, you know, together.
That's all right, let me have one. Okay. Shout out all you guys who are running. I know it's been a crazy big week. Being out in the sun for that long. Oh my god, I remember that from last year. Never been so tan in my life. So the one thing I wanted to talk about was I'm excited to see that the Senate passed my office's nuclear energy divestment reversal for the ASUC investment portfolio. So this was an idea that dates back to week 6 of fall semester, which, oh my god, so Jonathan presented on the state of the ASUC investment portfolio, and that was one line that like really caught my eye. And so the resolution outlines like a lot of the reasoning. I know it's really late, so I won't go into it about like just how the energy source is just better than a lot of like fossil fuels, but there's like a lot of historical fear mongering around it. So I kind of hope this resolution just works to help break down that kind of historical stigma while also
and full way at the same time. And aside from that, I'd like you guys resolutions that are going to me, but I won't yap any longer because I know everyone's really tired already.
Alright. So we'll go ahead and move on to roll call and adjournment, so we indicate that you are present and hear your name, starting Senator. Senator Albright.
Here.
Senator Beardsley.
Here.
Senator Cannon.
Here.
Senator Cho.
Here.
Vice Representative Miguel.
Not here.
Senator Zolshani.
Here.
Senator McLaren.
Here.
Senator Mann.
Here.
Senator Mendez.
Here.
Senator Nunez Rivera.
Here.
Senator Rodarte.
Here.
Senator Santos.
Here.
Senator Scott.
Here.
Senator Solomon.
Here.
Senator Zinkovich.
Here.
Senator Reading.
Here.
Senator Karan. Not present. Senator Tai.
Here.
Senator Schwing. Senator Yang. All right, is there a motion for the minute? Yes. Senator Yang moves to adjourn. Is there a second? Second by Senator Yang. Any section? Hearing none, this meeting has been adjourned at 10:07.
Okay, I know it's gonna get.